We are slaying monsters.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
Growing up, my mom had this snowman music box. It plays Walking in a Winter Wonderland. It's a little ceramic snowman on top of the music box. My sister and I both loved it growing up. I still love it. So my mom was like, I'm going to get rid of it. And my sister and I are like, you are not getting rid of it. So now we both have it. We split it. I get it 1 year. She gets it the next year.
Cute. Shared custody.
Shared custody of the snowman music box. So I have it this year. The other day, it's like sitting on a shelf in our living room next to the TV. And my partner and I are sitting in the living room and it starts playing. And you have to wind it up to play it.
Oh, wow.
It starts playing. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, why is it playing? Like, we're both sitting there listening to it play. And then it's like the other day when I was upstairs in my office, I heard faint music and I didn't know where it was coming from. And that must have been it. So now twice the music box has started playing on its own, of its own accord. I think it's just vibrations from something because the TV, something loud had happened on the TV and it started playing. So I think it's just something about it, like jiggles the mechanism and then it starts playing. I don't know why it would have played when nobody was downstairs and like it was just sitting there. But it's an old music box and, you know, even when it does play, it sort of sounds sad and pathetic. It plays Walking in a Winter Wonderland very slowly. So it's probably just the mechanism, but that's my little Christmas paranormal story. I have a haunted music box in my Christmas decorations.
That's
awesome.
Super cool. Well, you know, EJ, I forgot, but when we were at Thanksgiving, we had a paranormal experience very similar to that one.
We did?
Yeah. So you and your sister were cooking because you guys were doing the cooking for Thanksgiving, and they have a milk frother, one of those. It's like a wand type milk frother.
Oh yeah,
right? And it just turned on inside the utility drawer. And then they took it out, and for hours it would just periodically turn on. And it was like a push button to turn it on, you know? But it would just be sitting on the table and suddenly start frothing.
And we brought it into the living room with us because we wanted to keep an eye on it and try to figure out why it was doing that. And my sister has a bell from our grandmother, and she went over to the fireplace mantle where it's kept and rang it because our grandmother's birthday was around Thanksgiving. And so she rang it, and the wand went off, and we were like, okay, Grandma's talking to us through the milk frothing wand. And we were like, Grandma, make it go off if this is you. And we tried to talk. We were joking the whole time, but because none of us really buy into any of that. It was just really hilarious that it happened at the same time. And she refused to speak to us because, you know, that's just not real. But it was very funny, though. It would just go off and off all night long. It was so funny.
That's so funny. It must have been on the fritz or something. Has it done it since then?
Oh, I have to ask. I have no idea.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing for me was because when the music box went off and we were sitting in the room, I mean, I wasn't even freaked out. Like, we both looked at it and we're like, why is that thing playing? And I was like, I immediately thought, oh, it must be some vibrations from the television because it's sitting right next to the sound bar and there was like some loud noise on the television. I was like, that's weird though, because it's a winding mechanism. So it's a little odd, but I was like, okay. But what was weird is when my partner was said, oh yeah, that went off the other day, but he was just in his office working. Like there was nothing going on in the house. So I think it probably is just that the mechanism is like old and weak. So it just releases sometimes and the music box starts playing. But it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Actually, he immediately said, are you going to talk about this on your podcast? And I was like, yeah, I am.
That is what we're here for at Slaying Monsters. We got Maddie J.
Hey.
And Katie.
Hello.
And I'm EJ. And we're going to do a December roundup. Mostly, this is going to involve aliens for some reason.
Hey, for some reason in the last month, there's been a lot of alien news, and I guess we got to talk about it.
All right.
There's one non-alien news story that is unfortunately about chemtrails, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's talk about some alien news. Let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on. I'm considering this to be our top story this month, just because it's the most, I don't want to call them celebrity focused, because they're not really celebrities, but they sort of are. They're like celebrities in the UFO community, I guess. Marco Rubio believes that a shadow government is hiding the truth about aliens and UFOs from you, and he is not afraid to say it, but he is afraid to show you any evidence of it. So this comes from an article in the International Business Times where Rubio says, "We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it's not ours."
And for the record, for any of our listeners who don't know, Marco Rubio, former senator from Florida, current Secretary of State.
Oh, yes. Thanks for the context, Katie. Yeah.
Head of the Library of Congress and the National Archivist. And something else, I think, but I'm forgetting because in this administration, nobody does just one job. Anyway, sorry, keep going. For context, that's who we're talking about.
Former failed presidential candidate.
Yes, but someone who's been high up in government for a long time.
Yes, which is sort of the theme of all of this. Like it's always these people who are high up in government who are saying this, and that's, as we know, an argument from authority, right? Just because these people are high up in government does not necessarily mean that they have any more information about anything, or I should say, does not mean that they have any more critical thinking faculties than you or I.
Or high up in the military. Like
right.
This, because we're kind of, watching Age of Disclosure and the documentary, and a lot of it is argument from authority. A lot of it is military, ex-military saying that this stuff is unusual and never seen anything like this before, and things are going 32,000 miles per hour. And it's a lot of big claims with very little evidence. And I understand that things are confidential, but it's frustrating as a viewer because look, what if it's true? Okay, it's true. Let's just say it's true. It's all real. And the evidence that they are able to show is easily dismissible. It's parallax. It's not real. But what if there is actually good evidence that we cannot see? And it's like, we're just supposed to believe you because you are in the military and just take your word for it. And you build a whole movie-length documentary. And we're just supposed to follow along with that because?
Yeah.
No.
Similarly to that, EJ, I have not started watching Age of Disclosure yet. And for everyone, that's where Marco Rubio makes this claim, is in the new documentary, Age of Disclosure. But I was thinking presidents have been in the dark about this super secret military adjacent mission for decades. But right. Marco Rubio knows. No offense to Marco Rubio, but, he's Secretary of State now. But prior to that, he was a longtime senator from Florida. I believe he might have been on the National Intelligence Committee. I forget. But if the president doesn't know about it, Marco Rubio doesn't know about it. I mean, that was the thing that was weird to me, is even in that play to authority, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, for a little bit of context for this, since we've been watching the doc too, basically what happened is there were these two guys, Lou Elizondo and Jay Stratton, who started this program called ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And they were sort of the ones who said, wow, we're getting a lot of reports of unknown craft and we don't know what they are and we should find out what they are. And according to them, during their research, they came across this other program called the Legacy Program, which, according to them, again, is this top secret 80-year-long cataloging of these things, which involves crash retrievals and all sorts of physics-defying behavior from these crafts and all of these things. And this is what's supposed to be secret from the presidents and from senators and all of that. And they uncovered this, they say.
Okay. I mean, but the thing is I hear you. But even having not watched the documentary, 80-year secret program, I mean, we've talked on this podcast openly about projects like Project Blue Book, about projects like Project Blue Book has reiterated over and over and over again over the years. Like there's currently I forget the name that it's currently called. They mention it in this article. It keeps happening. So are they trying to say that Legacy is even more detailed and than these now very public attempts of the government to like track anonymous craft over the years? Because do you see what I'm saying? Like,
no, I understand. This is my opinion now. This is not from the doc. My thinking is Blue Book happened, right? Blue Book, of course, Edward Ruppel, J. Allen Hynek founded this in the 1960s. They cataloged a bunch of data, and ultimately they found out these crafts are not a threat to national security. That's it, right? That was all they concluded. But I don't think that when Blue Book got shut down, we stopped looking at UFOs and UAPs. We were still doing it because, if there's stuff in your airspace, you want to know what it is and who's putting it up there. So I don't believe that after Blue Book was shuttered, no one was reporting on this. And I think that it has continued, and it has continued under these other names. I think Kona Blue is the one you're talking about now, Katie, the present one. There was also Immaculate Constellation, which we talked about before, but that was probably a war game, a simulated war game that they were doing. But it's just continued. And throughout all of this time, the conclusion has always been, this is parallax, this is easily explainable things, and they're not actually national security threats, which I suspect is probably why the president doesn't know about them and why it's being, quote unquote, kept secret from these people in power. It's not because there's some secret there. It's just because it's not really useful information. There's nothing going on.
I think what makes me very skeptical is that you've got people like this at this level saying that, like, okay, confusing, like the Tic Tac video, which can be debunked quite easily.
Yes, and has been repeatedly.
And has been. And then you've got people saying, okay, well, you've seen the Tic Tac video, but I've seen evidence of alien bodies and alien crafts that I cannot show you. And I'm like, well, but you think Tic Tac is real. So I don't trust your ability to suss out information, basically, because it's probably not real either.
Right.
Yeah. The second piece of this article, and I'll continue to harp on this, which is they again talk about how like the uptick in frequency is because we're a threat because we have these technologies, but like our technological advancement, there's been a lot of technological advancement in the last 50 to 70 years, but like as they say in the article, our moral advancement like has not kept pace with our technological advancement. So the extraterrestrials are worried about us and worried about our threat to the universe. We are not a threat. Comparatively speaking, the technology that we have is not that interesting compared to the technology you would have to be traveling through space in spying on other planets in the way that they're talking about, right? Not just like telescopes or whatever. I mean, it's so funny because that's always the reason. The reason is always so like the earth is special and we're powerful and they're worried about us. No. Why would they be? Like, we're weird little babies. We don't even know what it is that's showing up here. Why would they be concerned if it's true that alien craft are coming around? Mm-hmm. We don't even know how to catalog them or what they are or where they're coming from. How are we a threat to anybody? Like,
yeah. We can't even really get to Mars. Like, we can probably get to Mars, but we're not going to be able to live there for any substantial amount of time. We're not getting out of this solar system within our lifetimes, most likely. Like, it would take some incredible physics unlock that we are not even close to.
I don't know. I wouldn't say never on that, just because of how rapid like technology has advanced. I mean, we've been, obviously, cosmology, astronomers have been looking at the skies for centuries, but a lot of the things that we consider normal today that are any of the ways that we understand tracking UFOs, like that shit's like 70 years old, tops.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's been a lot of advancement. So like possibly we could get out of the solar system, but I didn't mean to cut you off, Matt. I do agree with you. We don't have anything.
Yeah, it does. I guess it's worth pointing out too that even like nuclear is very new in the scope of scientific advancement, right? Compared to other engineering feats that we have, like construction feats and stuff. Splitting the atom is less than a full century old, I believe. So there's a lot of potential advancement that could come from that too. So maybe, yeah. But still, I'm not sure that makes us a threat to an external civilization, like an extraterrestrial civilization that can get here with crafts that are doing these highly advanced movements,
right,
like they're claimed to be doing. I think the other part of this that we should touch on too is the fact that, unfortunately, I'm afraid that a lot of these guys, you were talking, EJ, about how it's concerning how they can't differentiate what's real and what's not, or at least think logically about the evidence that has been provided to them. But I think part of that too is the fact that during the later parts of the Cold War and continuing up until today, the Army, the Air Force, the Department of Defense started using the UFO and alien narrative in different ways too. And we know this. This was in a Wall Street Journal article that we talked about earlier this year in the June Fortean that interviewed 24 current and former U.S. officials, scientists, contractors, reviewed documents, and found that the U.S. military was engaged in a decades-long disinformation campaign, specifically using UFO sightings and reports to muddy the waters surrounding real weapons and aircraft testing during the last 70 years.
70 years.
70 years. And you're talking about a program that's 80 years old.
Yeah.
They used to take people, we talked about this in one of the Forteans too. They used to take people aside and take them into rooms, show them photos of aliens or spacecrafts or something like that, and then say, don't talk to people about this, and let them go, reacclimate into their regular jobs, and see who talked about what they saw and who kept their mouths shut. And they could use that to figure out where the leaks were.
And how much do you think this has to do with the fact that these guys sat down in Age of Disclosure and said, I've seen alien bodies, I've seen things, I can't show you them because they're classified? Mm-hmm. Was this guy one of those guys that was sat down in front and like shown an alien body? Like, come on.
Right.
Like, we know this stuff happens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This has been documented.
It's like the entire time the government has been thinking about this seriously, they've also been using it as a smokescreen for other things. So like consider that in every single story that you hear about UFOs and the government, UAPs, whatever.
And finally, to break this out of this sort of Western America-centric viewpoint, one of the sticking points that I've always had when it comes to this disclosure thing is, why are they either only arriving in America, or why are American English-speaking countries the only ones that are talking about these things? Because it sure as shit seems to me that if the Russians had crashed saucers or evidence or something like that, and they could prove that the American government was lying to its people, that would be a great destabilization tactic, and they would be abusing that all the time. How come we have no UFO crash reports from, like, North Korea? How come we don't have any of these other powers that are wielding alien technology against us?
Yeah, it's a great question. I also think that if this was true, like, you're talking about people who are the, to be reductive, enemies of the United States, historically. But let's think about allies. If these type of aircraft were around, there would be leaks about more global conferences, global initiatives, right? Why wouldn't all of Europe and South America and the US and Africa and Asia be working together, being like, what the fuck are these things? You know? Like,
yeah. It's such a good point.
You'd think there'd be at least some meetings about it if it was real.
And it makes me think that this is a very pointed tactic on the government's part. Like, this is just a big old distraction tactic. Not to get all conspiracy theorist in here, but the Trump administration is doing some pretty horrendous things to its people. And it has been for the 2 administrations that Trump has been in office. And I just wonder if some of this isn't some kind of distraction from what's really going on, like releasing the Epstein files and things like that. Like, I don't know. That's my conspiracy theorist hat going on. All right. So everybody knows that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's
be both.
UFOs, UAPs can be bipartisan, but I do feel like distrust in governmental institutions in our modern day is more of a conservative viewpoint right now, and is one of the tenets that a lot of these far right candidates seem to be running on, and that's what the age of disclosure and this conspiracy theory is kind of pushing. And I don't really know where those threads connect, and they may not actually need to connect. Not everything is a unified theory, but it's something that I've noticed that has been interesting.
Yeah, I think it's like severe mistrust of institutions usually occurs on the far spectrums, far left or far right. Mm-hmm. I think on the right, mistrust of institutions creeps further toward the moderate side. I think for our listeners, I consider myself like fairly liberal, and I have a little bit of distrust of institutions, right? Because we historically have evidence of like things that have come out later of the government doing shady things, not just our government, all governments, right? Mm-hmm. But like generally, I'm like, the institution is there to help. Yeah. And I think like it's not actively trying to deceive. And I think that I do think that feeling that they might actively be trying to deceive at all times is like, yeah, I think a little bit deeper felt on the right. But like, I agree with you, Matt. I'm not sure where it overlaps with UAPs, because I feel like it's pretty bipartisan. People are kind of like, UFOs, yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
You're right. It is actually, because when you think about the legislation and the hearings and everything, there's Democrats and Republicans sitting there pushing this together, which is really interesting. Because I would be more likely to think it was a conspiracy theory if it was all lefties or all righties, but it's both. So that's very interesting. Well,
I'm of 2 minds. One, we've said this before, politicians are people too. So they're also like, this seems cool. Like, I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it also makes me think that even our congressional representatives are aware that there are things going on in the government that they don't know about, right?
Yeah.
That are maybe not being actively hidden for them, since theoretically they could ask for information basically on almost anything, but that are being done quietly in the background, you know? If they know that and they're thinking about that, like, what does that say?
Yeah, I know in the original hearing with David Grush back in, I want to say 2023, maybe 2024. I can't remember exactly. But AOC was there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she was very interested in where the money was going. That if we have these black budgets that are developing all this technology or reverse engineering this technology, how come there's not better record keeping? And what does that mean in terms of money leaks coming out of the government? And that seems like something that is a bipartisan issue. Like, where the fuck is all of the taxpayer money going?
That's a great question. We all know the military in the U.S. has an enormous budget, like billions of dollars that they allocate. Within billions of dollars, $700 billion or whatever the military's budget is right now, like a couple million, 100 million going missing somewhere, it's like a rounding error. But that's a lot of money that we could be spending on something else, theoretically.
Yes. Yeah.
Like education and health.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Do we want to move on to our talk about something really crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, if you can't trust a Reddit whistleblower, who can you really trust in this world? I mean,
no one.
You know?
No one.
So earlier this month, a post showed up on the UFO subreddit with the title, "You wanted disclosure. I am a whistleblower, recently retired from inside, and you're only getting part of the truth." And this is all written by user Ria15510, who detailed across over 4,000 words that there is a highly developed alien council that has been observing Earth for millennia, ever since life developed here. That council allegedly sent drones to build remote bases in our oceans where they monitored the developing life here. And they became concerned about how violent humans were. And around 10,000 years ago, they decided to sequester 65,000 Earthlings in a compound on a remote planet orbiting the star 82 Eridan, which is a real star, by the way. Those individuals were studied as a kind of alternative Earth where the council could see how we developed under different environmental and societal pressures. These humans allegedly evolved quicker and ended up about 5,000 years ahead of us in terms of technological and sociological development. And so some of those arids started coming back to Earth, and they're responsible for some of our UFO sightings. And they also gifted us technology in the form of the crashes at Roswell and Kecksburg and some of the others in hopes of pushing us forward technologically. But there's another race, a hostile one, that apparently looks like giant ants. And these giant ants want to fuck up the Earth experiment, and they're on their way to Earth, scheduled to arrive in 2027. And this will turn Earth into a war zone with the Alien Council and the Eridans on one side and the mean ants on the other. And allegedly, this is why disclosure is rolling out right now, because the angry ants are going to arrive in 2027 and we won't be able to keep it secret anymore. So there you go.
Oh my God. The note I have under this article is lol. And now that you've told me the whole thing, I'm even more like, what?
You know, when ants would end up in the cupboard of our house in our kitchen, sometimes we'd find them like in our cereal and stuff like that.
Sure.
We lived in the country, you know how it is. My sister and I would take Pam spray and Pam them as like, I don't know, we'd just come home from school and we'd Pam the ants because we were fucked up little kids. And I just think I can see this. Like, who did the Armageddon movie with
Affleck?
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So whoever did that movie needs to do a new movie about the giant aliens coming to Earth, except now Ben Affleck, his job is to operate a giant Pam can and spray them interstellarly at the ant aliens.
You know what you just made me think of, EJ?
What?
In Spaceballs, when there's like the giant vacuum, they send the giant vacuum to vacuum the air out of Earth.
Yes.
I'm just thinking of like a giant Pam can, and it's like, and we have to like press the.
Yes. Oh my God.
So really, what we're saying is we need. Oh my God, I'm totally blanking on his name. He's
Mel Brooks?
so funny. Yes, we need Mel Brooks to make a movie about the ants.
Yes. Oh, please, Mel Brooks, if you're hearing this, please do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I was remotely, I think I just found like a chocolate chip in my pants. Okay, in my pocket, in the pocket of my.
Katie, that's how you get ants, Katie.
The pocket of my sweatpants. I was baking last night. It's the holidays, y'all. Anyway, I was like, what? I've like had my hand in my pocket. I was like, what is this sticky thing in my pocket? It's a chocolate chip, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, this is the thing. The only thing that you said, Matt, from that whole thing that I was like, this is possibly true, is that this Reddit poster was like, they put drones and like made underwater bases in the ocean to spy on us. Because I'm like, listen, we don't know what's down there.
Yeah.
Like, if there's one place that you wanted to hide shit from humans on the earth, it would be in the oceans. So that part, the Reddit poster got right in terms of believability. The rest of it, no, not interested.
I think, well, first off, I think that this is an incredible plot for something.
Yes.
This whole idea of like being caught in the middle of this war between the council and the evil ant people is really, I'm down with that. Mm-hmm. But so I will say the Reddit user, Ria15510, was suspended from Reddit. We don't know why. It's fun to think that it was because the government got to them, but that seems very unlikely. The mods of the UFO subreddit closed the thread and called it a well-written LARP, or live-action roleplay, which I think is probably correct. We are only talking about this because it ended up making headlines somehow. And so normies are bumping into it. But for Slaying Monsters purposes, this like ticks all the boxes that we know, right? Lots of claims using many existing stories, sightings, and fucking zero evidence. It's all just like, hey, trust me, this is going on.
Yeah, I'm a normie, and I bumped into it in the wild.
You did.
Like the day that it came out.
You told me about it before I even knew about it, which is very strange.
Very
Where
strange.
did you bump into it?
It was trending on Reddit.
It was trending on Reddit, so it popped into my feed, and I read it, and I was like, well, this is just like every other post I read on aliens are aliens. Like, it's not that different. Like, people put their weird conspiracy theories up there all the time, so I don't understand how this one got so much traction. And it's funny because I read the comments ready to hear everybody be like, wow, yeah, it's true, it's all real. But all these, like, alien believers were like commenting that like this is crap and this sounds like a sci-fi book. They were actually citing other published books and movies that this sounded like to them that I'd never heard of.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, well,
It's
this
like
is
people
gonna
who
fade. Yeah.
Yeah, like people who really know sci-fi are like, oh, you just took this from this thing and this from that thing, and that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the other piece of this, again, I mean, we're dissecting this for the sake of this podcast because the other piece of it, like, it's all hilarious. Though I do agree that someone should make this movie. I mean, congrats to this person on spinning a good yarn. But why would they, it's so human-centric. Like, they were interested in the planet billions of years ago before there was even life because of the interesting biomarkers on the planet. Why do they care about biomarkers? We care about certain biomarkers. We look for those certain biomarkers because those are the biomarkers that indicate the type of life that we are familiar with, that create humans, right? That create what we understand as intelligent life. But as we've talked about on this podcast many times before, if there is intelligent life out there in the universe somewhere, we have no idea, possibly can't even conceive of what kind of form that might take, right? Like,
Right.
it could be weird amoebas. It could be sludge. Like, it could be what looks like solid material to us. I don't know. I'm making this shit up. And, like, it could be weird electrical currents. Like, I have no idea. And
A color out of space.
yeah, it could be a color. Exactly. This idea that the aliens would be interested in our planet because of biomarkers, it's like so human centric that I just crack up because I'm like, why? Who cares? Like, potentially they could care, right? Like, I don't know. I just find it so interesting when people start off from that place because I'm like, you've already lost me because I don't know why they would care about this planet versus any other.
They say it's because we're so violent. And this is interesting because it slots into this almost religious place then, you know, where it's like we are such a violent culture. And then when you sequester 60-some million people or whatever it was.
60,000.
60,000. You sequester 60,000 Earthlings, you put them on a different planet, and suddenly they're not violent and they advance more technologically. And so it becomes a moralistic tale instead that is like, oh, well, we should stop being so violent and we should love each other. And if we work together, then the technology advances. That's what I see in this.
The other piece of that is that all of their needs were provided for on that other planet. All the basic needs, like food and housing.
They
which
didn't have
I
to fight
thought
each
was-
other. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I assume food and housing, right? They just said basic needs. Or in the article, I did not read the actual post, but in the article about the post that you sent us, Matt, like they say that basic needs were met on this other planet. And so I also agree with you there. Like, I think that's a very interesting little thing. Like, humans fight and are violent because we're not taking care of each other. I don't know, something like that.
I now believe that this was all written by Andrew Yang, and this is a pro-UBI post.
Hey, you know what? Whatever it takes to get us a UBI, I'm fine with it.
Alien
Because we all
UBI.
should have one. There should be a UBI. It does go back to the moralistic standing that exists with aliens in the first place. Like, if you go back to who was it that?
George Adamski.
Thank you.
Yep.
Who started? I think he started the whole idea of moralism.
Yeah. So
and aliens.
So George Adamski was, I believe, I'm fairly certain that George Adamski was the first UFO contactee in history. Happened in the 1950s, and his whole thing is that he was visited by these beautiful Venusians who were talking to him about how there's so much violence going on right now, and you have to love each other and you have to be good people instead. And this was a reflection of the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, where that alien came down and said exactly the same thing. You have to stop having war or we are going to provide consequences.
And this is during the time that the nuclear power was becoming more ubiquitous.
Absolutely, yeah. So. I mean, we had dropped nuclear bombs. Then people came home. You had about a decade for people to process this, but not really process it. While meanwhile, we jumped right ahead and got involved in a Cold War and an arms race and all of that shit. And yeah, of course, the public consciousness was, we don't want another war. We really don't want nukes landing anywhere ever again. Can't we just get along?
Yeah. And not just nukes, but, you know, the horrors of, like, the Holocaust and, like, mass genocide in Europe, too, which I think it was very hard for people to process that level of violence. Both things, the fallout of dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then also discovering the truth about Nazi genocide.
Yeah, that's a great point, Katie. Yeah,
extremely
just
violent.
The violence.
But like, it's still, I agree with you, EJ. Like, it's always there as part of this. Like, it's like almost like a secular religious mandate or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do think that UFOs and aliens can fill that for certain people, where they do sort of become these angels type of archetype for people, speaking a word of God to you. I don't love the movie, but there's a part in the new Fantastic Four where Reed Richards, played by Pedro Pascal, is trying to work out a solution and quotes Archimedes saying, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." None of the people we have talked about so far in this podcast, by which I mean Dan Farhad, the director of Age of Disclosure, Marco Rubio, or RIA 15510, have provided any levers. There's not even a debate that we can realistically have about any of these topics until they give us some kind of evidence. And until we have that evidence that isn't easily debunkable, I don't think we need to start stockpiling cans of Raid Ant Killer.
Right.
Or giant cans of Pam.
Or giant cans of Pam.
Yeah, we did not use Raid Killer. That was too expensive.
All right,
We
you
had
used Pam.
Yeah, we had Pam.
Wouldn't that just make slippery ants?
You'd have to ask the ants. They seemed uncomfortable.
What did it do? It just like weighed them down?
Probably,
Yes.
yeah.
Look, we were dumb kids. We didn't know any better. We were just trying to. We were really sick and tired of ants in our food, and so you don't have the internet, and you just that's the exciting technology when you come home from school. You have a Pam sprayer.
But these ants, they were in your cupboard?
Yeah.
They were going after your food, I assume.
Yes.
Were they going after Doritos?
Probably.
Wow.
Did you have Doritos? I would have killed to have Doritos when I was a kid.
I know. We had Doritos sometimes. They were a real treat. We
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have fancy stuff like that either, but yeah, sometimes though.
Wow, what a great segue. So, in our next news story, the Dudley Dorito is back in the news after an 18-year absence. So, way back in 2007, there was a UFO sighted over Dudley, UK, just west of Birmingham. Several witnesses saw this triangular or corn chip-shaped object in the sky with 4 orange lights, one on each corner and one in the center. These reports made local headlines and lit up the phones at the local UFO group, the UFO Research Midlands, or UFORM. Now, allegedly, the Dudley Dorito has popped up here and there from time to time. I found scattered reports from 2010, 2013, which claim to see the same thing. So it's this like triangular craft. It's generally black with either 3 or 4 lights. It's been sighted as far away as York, although similar objects have actually been seen in the western United States too. And it has been sighted again this past month. Allegedly, a photo was shared on the Black Country Paranormal Facebook group earlier this month. Taken over the Mary Hills Shopping Center, it shows 4 lights in a sort of vaguely rectangular shape against a black sky. The photographer checked publicly available flight paths and couldn't find anything that corresponded with the object. After a few minutes, it flew off toward the mall.
To go shopping, I assume.
I mean, we have to assume so.
The thing that I did immediately upon reading this was look for any Air Force bases that are around that particular area. And there is one within 100 miles in Fairborn. So, which is like nothing for a plane, 100 miles.
For sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think that anywhere that there is an Air Force base and maybe where they're testing out technology, it's not that compelling to me. Could just be an experimental plane or drone of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, EJ. I mean, I was completely uninterested in this. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, I read it and literally what I wrote under it was cool. Because to me, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, that's interesting, I guess, in that, like, okay, people thought they saw something weird. But nothing about it was compelling. Nothing about it struck me as weird. Nothing about it even struck me as, like, absurd in the, like, the story we just heard. Like, I was like, okay, people saw something. It's just, yeah.
You can't measure it. You can't really analyze it. It's just something that people saw with their eyes. Then they took photos of it. And, like, we can't, beyond that, there's no data. It's just... Guys, come on.
Yeah, and it's hard.
Come on.
just because you see a trio of lights in the sky that make a triangle, that doesn't mean that the craft is shaped like a triangle. You know, 3 dots with a dot in the middle is also a plane, like a plane is in a cross, you know. That's the same way. One on each wing, one on the tail, one in the middle, and you have a plane. So
how do you not? It's the plane plus a star, like,
Sure,
I don't know,
right,
or a satellite, like,
yeah,
right.
Absolutely. So any of these could be sightings of a plane that you think looks like a triangle, but is actually just a plane shape, or yeah. I will say that black triangle UFOs are kind of a new shape that is coming as part of a UFO, the UFO portfolio that we start to see now. Replacing that sort of familiar flying saucer shape. And while there has been speculation that this is alien technology, there's also a lot of speculation that seems far more likely that it's some kind of new military drone or craft.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, black, like the U.S. stealth bombers are black triangles. Like, if you look at them from below, and I can imagine those are the stealth bombers we know about.
Right.
I'm sure there are other ones.
Yeah. There's been this aircraft called the Black Manta, the TR-3A Black Manta, that is like not officially confirmed, but there's been a lot of like information swirling around it, especially in some of the more fringe, I don't even want to say conspiracy theories necessarily, but like aircraft fanciers of the world.
I'm looking at all of the sort of fake images on Google.
Yeah, it's allegedly from Northrop Grumman, and but it's not truly on the books, but everybody kind of knows about it. It's really interesting.
It looks like a stealth bomber.
Yeah,
but
which
like
makes sense.
even more triangle.
Right.
Yeah. It looks like a Dorito.
You know, with drone technology and stuff like that, you see drones all the time that have 3 propellers in a triangular shape. Yeah. The aliens were just, like you said, EJ, going to get some Christmas shopping done. You want to talk about chemtrails?
Sure.
This is kind of a follow-up to a news story that we had earlier this year. There's another state that is pushing chemtrail legislation. Now, previously, we had talked about Iowa's House Republicans who tried to outlaw chemtrails and weather manipulation. And South Carolina is joining on this fight too. Senator Jeff Zell spoke out in favor of this new bill that would outlaw chemtrails, saying, "You can go to the Google machine and figure out what the federal government has hidden from its citizens over the last 100 years, particularly the last 50. This isn't to say that I'm 100% in agreement that there's this massive conspiracy, but I wouldn't doubt it at all if there was." Which is, wow, way to be both inflammatory and wishy-washy, dude. I'm not saying this is a problem, but if it was a problem.
The Google machine, I've immediately tuned out. Like,
the Google machine.
Because I have no faith that any technology that you've actually seen, you have any comprehension of. If you're calling it the Google machine.
Well, it's one of two things. It's either like that's something that old people say. Go on the Google machine and do that. Or you are saying the algorithm that Google feeds you to keep you brainwashed and blah, blah, blah. And either way, I have no respect for what you're about to say.
Okay. Do either of you understand exactly what chemtrails are supposed to be? I know that it's like planes are releasing chemicals into the sky, but like, what chemicals, what planes, what are the chemicals supposed to do to us? Because I will fully admit, like, I understand chemtrails as a conspiracy theory that exists. And that is as far as I have gone because I am not interested in that bullshit. And I try to keep my algorithm as clean as possible. So can y'all say, for those of us who don't know, like, what is this?
Question.
Sure. So the idea behind chemtrails is that there is and you know, I have to be a little general here because conspiracy theories are often not directed. But so it's either the government or private companies or something like that are outfitting planes with the ability to disperse chemicals into the air. Now, those chemicals can do anything from make people sick, alter people's biology, manipulate the weather for certain things, manipulate our crops, anything like that. So that's the conspiracy theory idea.
So essentially, to like also dumb it down to like a thing that actually does exist.
Yes.
It's kind of like the idea of crop dusting, where planes fly over crops and drop fertilizer on them, but it's like random chemicals that are supposed to do various secret things to people or food or the weather or whatever they've decided.
Yeah. So in the story we talked about with Iowa and Iowa trying to outlaw the ban, they were claiming that people were getting sick from whatever these planes were dumping. I don't know if that was the intention or not, because they didn't know what the intention behind the chemtrails were, but they claimed that people were getting sick after seeing these planes flying overhead with these, they were actually contrails, but dumping this stuff. We kind of suspect, EJ, you put out this theory that it probably has more to do with the massive amount of factory farming that happens in Iowa and the contamination of some of the rural land out there, because chemtrails aren't real. Like they are not real, and these people are wasting everybody's time. But
and
yes,
the water
that's the
supply.
idea.
I'm forgetting what podcast it was. I want to say it was something in the vein of like a This American Life or something like that. But they were talking about the difficulty of regulating water supply, like interstate water supply. So it was like, for example, you're in one state and they have different rules. And so there's like a lot of pollution going into the water. That water's then coming down into the state below. And the state below, like the two states are trying to work together to get rid of like the pollution in the water, because one state is like, hey, you're fucking up all of our stuff by doing stuff in your state.
That's why we need federal regulations and not just state by state.
Right.
But I wonder, that's just to your point, Matt, about like factory farming. It's not only what's happening in your state, it's like what might be happening across a border in air quotes,
Absolutely.
because the land doesn't have borders, right? Those are made up. And then like drifting into your state. Like literally, this was my thought about this when I was reading it. I was like, okay, chemtrails aren't real, right? But let's say that they were. Like, how is this actually going to stop anyone? Because you're saying, oh, you can't, whatever part of the law that they put in the article we read, they're saying like, you can't do this. Okay, but you would have to prove that that plane was flying over and had like dumped something. You would have to know what plane it was. As we've talked about, there's a lot of like air traffic now. So I'm just not even sure, even if this was real, like what effect it would have on anything. Like, I guess maybe you're starting to give yourself powers to like collect information, but you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't even know how this would be effective, even if chemtrails were real.
I appreciate you trying to put logic on this. There is no fucking logic that gets assigned to this, because the truth, and I think that when we peel back the veneer of a politician blabbering things to their constituents, when you peel that back, chemtrail rhetoric is particularly dangerous in the annals of conspiracy theory, because it seemingly addresses a very real problem, which is the weather is getting weirder. And they claim that that's like maybe weather manipulation, that the chemtrails are part of the reason we're creating these strange storms and sudden catastrophic weather events and things like that we've all seen in the past decade, you know. But it's not through intentional weather manipulation by shadowy government agencies or you know, companies or something like that. It's from motherfucking climate change.
Which is worsened with factory farming and fossil fuels.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The very things that these representatives ignore. Just to give you an idea of the conspiracy theories specifically that they push, and this is on, I hate to even cite it, but Geoengineering Watch is the conspiracy theorist website on chemtrails that you can go to, Katie, if you want to wreck your algorithm. But
thank you for your sacrifice, EJ.
Yeah, no problem. But one of the conspiracy theories that I saw that made my head completely spin was they blamed a massive hurricane that hit Jamaica on chemtrails. And the conspiracy behind the hurricane turning and being massive and hitting particularly Jamaica extra hard was because they recently found rare earth minerals in Jamaica, and Trump wanted to work with Jamaica to get those rare earth minerals, and the hurricane was specifically sent to Jamaica to put Jamaica on the back foot to need U.S. aid as a quid pro quo. They get U.S. aid, we get their rare earth minerals. So there's plenty of conspiracy theories out there on that website that push ideas like this. I mean, that's one of the conspiracy theories.
What the fuck?
So yeah, it's it's manufactured weather to whatever end they wish.
That's so insane.
And the saddest part is the comments on the website of people saying, "Wow, that's so true. Yeah, wow." And like nobody's skeptical. Everybody's buying it. Of course, you're not going to go there and. Yeah, I know. Why are you on that website?
Because they're there. Like, how did you even get there?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I thought. I was like, yeah, okay. I shouldn't be looking for.
But that's so wild because, to your point, Matt, about like climate change, it's not even just like factory farming and fossil fuels. It's not maintaining our built environments, like letting forests erode. Like severe weather is severe weather, of course, and we are getting worse and more frequent severe weather events. But the example I'm about to give is also extreme, which is like mountain mining, right? Like if you destroy a mountainside and then you get mudslides, that's because you destroyed the plants that were like holding the dirt in place. But like you get that on much larger scales or much smaller scales all the time too, right? Like if you create a subdivision and you don't get the drainage right, like it's going to flood more easily, or you build in a floodplain because you're like, we want to put houses here, but you're not thinking about it. Like all of these things sort of like compound on each other. So on top of the fact that we are getting more severe and more frequent severe weather events, people are ignoring the built environment, like to our detriment.
Right.
It's yes, and it's like misplaced energy. And I think, Matt, you were saying something to this effect the other day, but it's appealing to the emotions of people who otherwise don't believe in climate change. They don't believe in the climate science that's happening right now. I want you to elaborate on that because you had a good point about that the other day.
Well, it's the button that fixes it, right? It's a very easy thing. It's a very easy solution for a very complex problem, because there's not just one thing that causes climate change that we can be like outlaw and climate change is over.
Yeah, as Katie said, yeah.
But this is so complicated, and they have this concept that they can present to you now that's like, no, it's weather manipulation through chemtrails, and if you just outlaw this bill, then climate change is over. But the particularly insidious part of that is that these bills that seek to outlaw these things tend to outlaw, as you were on, EJ, geoengineering, right? What they call geoengineering, which sounds like a really scary term. But you know what geoengineering actually is? Removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere with afforestation and carbon air capture. or passive cooling through the use of thermally reflective roofing, or glacier stabilization through mitigating sea temperature increases. Those are real examples of how we're trying to change our planet's climate and keep it habitable. And these bills seek to outlaw that by hiding behind baseless conspiratorial thinking that claims to be the easy button to fix a problem that they're claiming doesn't exist.
Wow, Matt. I mean, that's like even crazier. Well, I would get even more like malicious with it, that it's like you're trying to make people mistrust the government, but then you're also like undermining the efforts people are making to mitigate climate change. You know, like the Trump administration has done that by like rolling back EPA regulations and like the Inflation Reduction Act, which was like had a lot of like credits for solar and things like that for solar power projects. But yeah, it's like not only are you like making people mistrust the government and making them think that climate change is a conspiracy theory, you're also like undermining people who are trying to fix it. I think maybe that's like intentional too. That's me being very conspiracy theory minded.
It's funny you say that, Katie, because that's exactly where my head went to. I was like, if you pull the people off of the glacial stabilization program, let's just say, like end that part of the geoengineering project, then there's no regulation there. There's nobody helping that particular area, so you can go in and you can drill for oil. It makes me so sad. I was reading through the article too, and there is this argument from Representative Thomas Lee Gilreath, who says that just because other states have legislation on this, then they must be onto something. That was one of his arguments. And that is an argument that a lot of his constituents, I'm sure, are saying, oh yeah, well, other states, that means it's legit. But I just wanted to point out that is a bandwagon fallacy. The fallacy that if everyone is doing it, it can't be wrong. And it's very easy to appeal to the masses this way. So it's just one of those things to kind of look out for. If somebody in authority says something like this, or not in authority, anybody, that is what that is. And to really be skeptical when you hear shit like that, it doesn't make it right.
That's great. Thanks for pointing that out. That's I've heard it called bandwagon. I've also heard it called the argument from popularity.
Yeah.
If something is popular, doesn't necessarily mean that it is right, and you have to always use your own critical thinking and your own rationality. Absolutely. I also, before we close this topic, I do want to say chemtrails are not real, but contrails are. In certain weather conditions, planes can display contrails, literally condensation trails, contrails. They come from aircraft exhaust, and they're composed of water vapor, which forms ice crystals in the upper atmosphere. And depending on the atmospheric conditions, that might be barely visible, or those ice crystals might remain suspended in the air. They can even take on like a prismatic look to them. But they're not chemicals. They're just exhaust from the planes. Mm-hmm. Chemtrails are not real.
And I will say, I don't know, in case anyone was concerned or thought that like contrails are recent or whatever, they're not. I have active memories from my childhood 40 years ago of being like, what is that? And my dad telling me, oh, it's just the condensation from the plane. We've been around forever. We know what they are. Very simple.
They've been around since planes have been around. It's just...
Exactly.
It's just what happens.
Shall we close it out with a very compelling news story, I think?
This one got me. This one is making me think that teleportation is real.
So...
Okay, EJ, you need to go first on this then.
Oh, no. I think Matt should lay it out.
No, I'll lay it out. I'll lay it out for you.
Okay.
A Florida man who was accused of stealing a BMW claims that he was teleported into it by aliens before it crashed on the highway. So the car's owner stopped to walk his dog and left his keys in his BMW. Shortly after, the accused suspect, Calvin Curtis Johnson, got into the car, according to witnesses. The car was next seen speeding down Route 1 at 130 miles per hour before crashing and bursting into flames. When responding officers pulled Johnson out of the vehicle, he immediately thanked them, saying, quote, "You saved me from the aliens." While they were handcuffing him, he explained that he was teleported into the car, which was then sent speeding down the highway. He was, however, arrested and charged with grand theft and driving with a suspended license.
Listen, honestly, though, I would believe it more if he said it crashed and then I was teleported into the car, because he did not seem to have injuries. And that is crazy to me. That man was
his
smooth.
face
That
was
man
bloody,
chill.
but like,
yeah, but 130 miles an hour.
No.
I'm telling you, he got teleported after the car crashed.
yeah. And the car, I agree with you, EJ. I did think that, because that car was like destroyed, and they said they had to like cut him out of the seat, and like all he had, I mean, he did have some blood on his face, but it was only like half his face, and he seemed completely uninjured. I suppose that's possible. People do walk away from really terrible car accidents all the time. So
They
like
do.
it's the statistics are not in your favor, but like it's not impossible at all. But I mean, my thought, well, first off, I was waiting for the guy who said he saw him steal the car to say that he had on like a blue jacket, and he didn't say that. So I was like, okay. But my thought was not even like, oh, you know, he got teleported after or whatever. My thought was, this poor man is clearly suffering from some kind of mental break. He seems totally out of it. I felt bad for him because like he really did seem like he was like, oh my God, you saved me. And the cops were like, okay, put your hands against the car. He's like, yes, of course, whatever you want. Like he seemed very like almost childlike in his distress. And I was just like, oh, buddy.
Yeah. I you know what? I hope he's getting the help he needs. That's all I can say.
What do you think, Matt?
Oh, I mean, I just maybe if he's lucky, the aliens will teleport him out of jail too.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the video of him. I just read the article, so I didn't actually see him respond. I thought that it was, when I came to it, I thought it was his clever way of trying to get out of the responsibility of the car crash. But you make it seem like he actually believed that he was.
Oh, yeah. He does not seem like confident, like he's making up a story. Like he seems freaked out. He seems shaken. He seems like he thinks it's true. Okay. He doesn't seem like a guy that's like, I was teleported. Can you believe it? Like he seems totally out of, like freaked out and very cooperative, very like, yeah, like I said, like childlike almost. Like he's distressed. He's like happy the cops are there. And you're like, you seem to be very focused on the wrong things right now. Like, so yeah.
I'm glad he's okay. And I hope that he gets the help that he needs, because aliens did not teleport him into that car.
No, they did not.
No, unless this is the beginning of the giant ant aliens coming down and starting their mayhem.
Maybe that's it. Maybe
yes.
they're fucking shit up.
Yeah. I mean, let's also talk about the fact that some fucking dumb idiot left his car unlocked and the keys in his car while he went walking his car.
Yeah.
While he went walking his dog.
I know. I don't let our 2008 Honda Fit alone with the keys in it. That baby is... That's my baby, okay?
It's just so funny. Like, I was like, what is wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
I mean, I'm
behavior.
sorry.
Go ahead.
It's not okay. Stealing is not okay.
Yeah.
But if you're going to leave your car with the key in it in a public place, like, you're a little bit at fault.
Yeah.
In this economy.
In this economy, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, somebody could have just driven away with that. No aliens involved at all.
Yeah.
That's
all
a good
I'm saying.
PSA. That's a good way to wrap it up. You know,
Don't leave your keys in your car and it unlocked. Just chill it.
just don't do it.
A slaying monsters message for the holidays.
Yes.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us for this post-Christmas Fortean Roundup, post-holiday Fortean Roundup. This is going to be the last Slaying Monsters of the year. And Katie, this also marks 1 year that you've been doing this with us. It's pretty awesome.
Katie!
That's
Happy
true.
anniversary.
Thank you. That's true. The
Yeah.
December Fortean last year was my first podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's been wonderful having you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be
been
here.
wonderful.
Every every journey that we're on is a joy.
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. It's been great having you.
Well,
Happy holidays to all of our listeners.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. And as we move into 2026, we've got some pretty exciting news stories coming up, so definitely stick around for that. If you want to join in on the Slaying Monsters Joy next year, feel free to head over to slayingmonsterspodcast.com, click on the support us button at the top of that page, and consider leaving a donation or becoming a supporter. We also have our merch store there. You can check all of that out. And yeah, until next time, be safe out there.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Slaying Monsters, the Fortean History Podcast. If you like the podcast, there's a couple ways you can show your support. You can tell your friends, you can leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform, or you can head over to slayingmonsterspodcast.com and click on the Support Us button to leave a donation. For questions, suggestions, and other feedback, reach out to us, slayingmonsterspodcast@gmail.com, and stay up to date by following us on socials at Slaying Monsters Podcast. Your support helps us grow, and we are truly grateful to have our listeners and community.